You know, if we believe that tomorrow will be better, we can bear the hardship of today. But for poultry farmers in our country, such a sermon does not raise chickens. Following fuel subsidy removal, devaluation of the national currency, and the attendant negative impact on poultry businesses, farmers across the country, particularly in Lagos State, have called on government at all levels to urgently prevent the imminent collapse of the poultry business in this country. A stitch in time, I'm told, saves 9. Dr.
It's a big issue. Even before the Naira became this devalued, things have gotten to a head in that sector of the economy. And the reason, primarily, is that it's a dollarized sector also. Virtually everything in that sector is imported. The feeds, the cages, and all the rest. The only things we don't import in that sector are the men who work there locally. Even now, that they produce, even now, the little that they manage to produce
can't go around.
Not that it can't go around. Nigerians can't even afford it. A crate of egg is close to 3,000 naira. And if you go by what former military president Ibrahim Babangida proposed to us, and you have 4 children, I can assure you, you may not, survive 1 week with 1 crate of egg, 30 pieces.
And Dr. the eggs are not big anymore.
They are not.
I hear you don't feed chickens well.
Well, that's what happens. Because when you have the way those things eat as they grow is massive. So what we need to do is to address the issue of local manufacturing of feeds, local production of
feeds and stuff,
and of the equipment that they use. We can do it, but we need to get it right. Because sometimes those things we are even able to produce here, they are costlier than what they import. Why? Energy. The materials you use for production locally, they are even brought in. The generator you use to power the place, they are brought in. Those things, they need power, and they need to see light in the night most of the time. Even for the safety of those who are working there because of snakes and all the rest, you need the place to be powered. So you use diesel engine to power the big ones. How do you survive? You have to keep changing your power generating sets all the time. So it still boils down to the fact that until we get our economy right, a lot of these sectors can work.
But how did we get here?
I can't even understand.
We got here by choice.
Well,
we chose to be here.
No. It is not all of us that chose to be here. Not all of us. It is those who had the levers of power that decided the direction in which we could go because of greed and lack of truthfulness. You know, when we were discussing the issue of the CBN, I said it. If somebody employs you, and you can't look at that person in the eyes and say, see, this is the truth. What you do is that anytime the man talks, you say, in fact, that's the best idea. Because you know that is what he wants to hear. And you know that that is what will bring money to your pocket. That's how we killed this country. Those who had the levers of power, they killed it completely.
All right, we have an interested voice from Gombe. Aliu is reaching us. Aliu, good afternoon to you. Aliu, are you there? No luck. Okay. Wale, you see, we elected to be here by choice because at independence, it would appear we knew what we wanted and we were going in a particular direction until something gave. And here we are, nearly 63 years after.
I think one of the major destabilizing factors, was the intervention of the military. No matter the challenges we had at that time, we will have been able to overcome it. And don't forget, it was the military that brought Decree 34, I think, of 1966, that the unification decree that brought civilizations, to define it in a one-dimensional way. Because the British, when they were leaving in 1959, they set up the Wellesley Commission that went throughout all the country, and people said, look, this is the kind of system we wanted. And that was why we had 3 regions. So we should have that had high level of autonomy, control over their monetary policies, even diplomatic missions, their educational system, agriculture, So, and I think when you don't get the template, the architecture right, to have a very good house,
you mess the structure.
You mess up the structure. So on the poultry farmers, they claim they lost about 30 billion due to the foreign swap that was brought in by the CBN governor, the former CBN governor. And I think that is a lot of money. And just like my colleague said, access to egg or chicken is a huge problem. Some people don't eat chicken now, maybe unless it's a festival period. And we should not forget that when we are talking about cognitive reasoning, the quality of our brain, there's a link between the nutrition you eat and mental stability. So our younger people, especially children, need to have access to eggs because it contains, vitamins that are relevant for the development of the human brain. And that's why you see developed countries, Singapore, China, when you look at the nutrition, when you go for breakfast, in a British home or even Singapore, you see almost about 15 items. Mushroom, this, that, vegetables.
Well,
but here...
The idea is not to humor you. I hear that in prisons overseas, they eat well.
They eat well.
And
but
that,
here...
And that is why we always have the saying over there. I want chicken and rice, not rice and chicken.
Yeah.
Chicken and rice.
Yes, because chicken is the main food.
Okay.
So if we don't have quality food, we are not going to have a productive human resource base.
What's your attitude towards the penchant of Nigerians for imported chickens and, frozen foods? Because
sorry to say, we don't have, homegrown agrarian economy that can satisfy the yearnings of Nigerians. How long do you need to keep a chicken to be mature? Just 18 weeks. 18 weeks. Now, you have 774 local governments, and we can't point to one that is into effective poultry management. If you have chicken, there's the bigger ones, they can lay as much as 250 eggs in 1 year. One chicken can hatch, let's say, 6 to 12 eggs in 1 year. So what is the magic that we cannot be one of the major producers of poultry in the world? Indonesia is one of the biggest producers of eggs. China produces about 490 billion of eggs. So what is our problem? That we get budget. We are talking about palliatives now. We are talking about giving 80,000 people to people. We are not talking about investing some of them into poultry in local governments. If each local government invests about just 10 million into poultry or 20 million naira, we are going to see the impact. Because instead of building, superstructure, you want to build flyover bridges, you want to build that, give people food, let them eat. Like Yoruba people will say, once people can feed, there will be less, in their rancor. So I think that it's a shame that Nigeria, we don't have a viable, poultry industry. It's calling on the federal government to assist them, but not just the federal government alone. The local governments, the state governments, these palliatives that has been given to them, they should invest some into agriculture. Something we can see the impact in the next few months.
Doctor, not too long ago, the former president, the last but one, shut our borders, evidently to encourage homegrown things like stuff like this. Mm-hmm. But we missed the message.
We didn't even get the message at all, because that was not what to do. And I will take it from one of the questions you asked. That's...
So, sorry, just a minute. We don't want to keep Stephen in Bayelsa waiting. Stephen, good afternoon to you. I greet you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I greet you too, Citizen Jones. I really appreciate your conversation, and I'm following it up.
Yeah.
And the two gentlemen with you, they are saying things the way it needs to go. Now, coming to the issue of this poultry, I think this is where the Ministry of Agriculture, both the federal and the state, needs to come into play. Because, as I'm telling you the truth, a bag of feed is now going more than 10,000 naira. And you ask yourself a simple question. Are you going to be giving 10,000 naira to feed than thinking of your own stomach? An average person in Bayelsa cannot even eat a good food properly. And you're not thinking of giving some number of beds, 10,000 naira, like a week. It might not even be up to a week for this poultry product, for these beds. And like one of your colleagues said, the way they eat food, most especially broilers, you imagine whether you are plucking money from the tree or what. They eat like... it's unimaginable the way they eat, most especially when they are like from maybe 3 weeks old. The rate they eat. So I agree that the state needs to come into play, because a smallholder farmer, it's like we are running out of business, because I'm into the business itself, and my money is not even coming out. You sell your product, and at the end of the day, your money, you might not even see the money that you invested into at the first place. You pump in money. It's only the people that, to some extent, that do layers, that lay egg, that may likely see
Thank you,
their
Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. We are sympathize. It's crazy.
It is really. The question you asked the other time, that's local consumption.
Yeah.
Do you know that it's the ones that are brought in, they are cheaper than what we have here locally? Are cheaper. Because by the time you take the one that you produce here and you slaughter it, you find so many body parts that you don't want to touch because there is no meat there. But when you bring in the one, you either go for, you are the one that will decide what you want, whether it's the lap, whether it's the wing, you are the one, so you know what you want, and you get it. So it's cheaper. That's the truth.
And the imported one.
Yes, the imported ones.
So
cheaper.
we're in trouble.
That's what this man just said. When you go and buy a bag of feed, and under 4 days, they have finished consuming it, before you now grow them from that week 3 to week 14 to week 18, then you are in trouble. So they don't add up. What government needs to do, and we have been saying this for long, is not to give money to briefcase farmers.
Otherwise, throw money at almost every problem.
You just look at what we had about rice in the last 4 or 5 years. Indeed, by now, I was thinking that rice would be about 2,000 naira per bag.
You know, the production of lake rice between Lagos and Kebbi State gave me hope. I thought we were going to go somewhere.
Yeah, but it's still expensive because the cost of production is. That's what we need to address. Until when you go and check your dollar, vis-a-vis what we use for cultivation and then farming generally, we can't get it right. Government cannot go and bring in feed that is maybe worth about 10,000 and be given to farmers at 1,000. Where will the subsidy? Where is that subsidy again?
That's it, yeah.
So we must start producing here all those feeds that we use.
Because we can produce them.
We can produce them.
The materials are here.
Ensure that all the equipment needed for the production, we get them from here. I have a friend who is into farming in Osun State. He was going to bring in an equipment to grind plantain to flour.
Okay.
So he said one day he just went out in Osogbo and was taking a bottle of beer. Then he saw one man across the road who does the engine for grinding pepper.
Okay.
He now went to him and said, I want something to do this. The man said, if you want it, I will take this amount of money and I will produce it for you. He said, are you sure? Because they've tried some other people who could not. He said, 3 days. And he did it.
So it is possible.
It is possible. That's what we are saying. It is just for us to provide the environment, enabling environment. Ensure that there is power 24/7. Even if it can't be 24/7, let people get it at 18 hours and be sure that it doesn't cut their throats.
All right, let's take our last call from Bola in Ekiti, Lagos here. Bola, how are you? Welcome.
I'm fine. Good afternoon.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I would like to contribute to this poultry farming issue.
Go on.
Like our president, when he was campaigning. I'm fine. Good afternoon.
Go on. Ignore that. Go on.
Yeah, like our president was campaigning the other time when he was talking about farming, planting agbado, planting this thing. You see, there's no how Nigerian can get out of this shit in this poultry farming issue without going back to farm to plant agbado, that is to plant maize. The major problem we have in this country is the maize and corn we are planting is not enough. It's not enough. So even for human consumption, it's not enough.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Wale, so in taking this home, what we need, almost everything we need is there.
Yeah.
So we don't have to talk about difficulty in importing poultry, the feed, the machines and so on. Everything here.
Everything is there. If you go to some of our universities, the engineering department, there are a lot of prototypes that they have designed, waiting to be harnessed, and turned into all those big machines you are talking about. This collaboration between the academic community and industrial, sector of the country. So, but in Nigeria, there's no collaboration between our university system and our industry.
Well, so, do you think the system the university system is reaching out to them?
I think,
because it's a two-way street.
Yeah, I think it's a three-way thing, really. Okay. The government, the private sector, and then the university. There should be harmony. It should not just be strike, as to strike all the time.
That's the point.
There should be harmony about industrial development of the country, and the university have a very important role to play. Go to engineering. I did a story on that before. Go to IFE everywhere. UNN, the engineering department, they have designed so many machines. People come from abroad to take that prototype, develop it, and then turn it into finished products and come and sell to us.
Dr. We must go home. So
yes, we will.
How do you take this home?
Like you said, we have a lot of these things just waiting for us to tap. Just about 2 weeks ago, I'm sure if you go back to BBC and some other medium in Nigeria, 2 students of a secondary school here in Lagos went outside the country and won a competition on water purification, because they were able to produce